UK's best music, your favourite songs of all time. This is Tameside Radio. Busy show today, lots going on. We've talked about scams, and we're doing adult safeguarding after 12 o'clock today with Tameside Council, who were an event this week all about adult safeguarding. Some really good advice on that coming up after 12. I'm delighted, though, to be joined in the studio now by James from an organisation called fancyawalkmate. James, welcome.
Morning, Mark. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you for this opportunity. It's a massive pleasure to be here at Tameside Radio and be able to talk about this fantastic group called Fancy a Walkmate.
This is like an extra bit of the podcast we've been doing recently, because we're doing a lot of subjects talking about mental health and the impact of mental health, not just on specific people, but the whole range. You know, children, men, women, LGBTQ plus communities, all sorts of mental health issues that could affect people. You've got a group that concentrates on men, is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so first of all, let's talk about the title Fancy a Walkmate. Quite trendy. How did that come about?
So I sort of a few years ago now, four or so years ago, went on my own little bit of a journey, journey of growth and expansion. I decided that enough was enough. I was making all the wrong choices, so I'd often turn to drink. I've got no shame in saying it. I'd also turn to drugs to hide away from my insecurities, from all that comparative thinking I wasn't good enough, wanting people to like me, and sort of struggling through life, really. And before I go into it, I just want to say that, I'm not here to give advice. I'm not here to tell people that I'm a professional, I'm a doctor, I'm a therapist, because I'm not. I'm just here to talk openly and honestly through my own lived experiences in the hope that I can help other men out there. So, I'd gone through a difficult time, and I thought, you know what, enough's enough. I needed to make a change. And, for me, that is one of the biggest things in anyone's journey when they're struggling, is to be able to identify when enough's enough, to have that awareness and to go, I need to take action. And that's what I did.
Did you feel you were really isolated when you were going through these problems? Did anybody understand? Who did you turn to?
I was very fortunate that I've got a very strong lady by my side, my wife. She supported me through all of this because she believed in me and she saw the real me. And there's a lot of beauty in that. I think a lot of men, particularly me in the past, have put on a facade, trying to fit in, acting the class clown down the pub, and just making a general fool of myself in the hope that people will go, you know what, this guy's really fun, I want to be around him. And I couldn't turn to those people because I'd already created this false facade, whereas with my wife, she understood me, she believed in me, and I could open up. And that is one of the biggest things, is being able to open up to somebody.
And we don't do that to our friends, do we, all the time? This is the kind of thing you've said before, that facade, that kind of impression you give to all your fellow colleagues or friends or whatever. They don't see the real side, the emotional side of you.
No, they don't, because I believe as a man that we think showing emotion is a weakness, and that's the stigma that I'm here to try and break. And there's many people out there that are trying to break it, and I think that's fantastic. But we've got to break that down, It's not a weakness, it's actually strength. There's so much strength to be found in what we perceive to be our weaknesses. It's just about identifying them and making that change.
You found this route through walking, haven't you? Through the countryside, and it's a known fact that the great outdoors can help mental health.
Yeah, it definitely can, and that's scientifically proven. And that's where I went. So before, when I was talking about the sort of destruction that I was causing, I always had nature around me. I'd always been part of nature. I'd always been sort of on walks with friends and family throughout my life. I was involved with, Cubs, Scouts and stuff like that. I had a real passion for adventure. And when I was sort of in this phase of destruction, when I would go out into nature, I think I was doing it for the wrong reasons, So I was loading up the biggest pack that I could find with the heaviest weights, and I'd be getting out into nature around a route as quick as I could, trying to climb as much elevation as I could, just so that I could get home and post on social media and say, wow, look at me, look how fast I've done this route, look how much weight I was carrying. I was trying to prove something to others that I was good enough. I was trying to prove to myself that I was good enough through this. And actually what I was doing, I was missing out on the natural beauty, the energies that nature provides. And now with the group, we step into nature and things are a lot calmer, because actually nature is a healer. And I know this can sound a bit crazy for some of the guys out there that might be listening, but until you try it, you'll not be able to experience it. So yeah, nature for me is a healer. It's a place where I do my best thinking because I'm not being judged. I've got nothing to prove. I don't need my ego. That's a massive thing as a man, not needing your ego. Yeah. You know, I let go of all that, I strip it all back, and nature listens. So I come away feeling refreshed, re-energized. Some of the problems that are going on in my life, I've actually been able to understand a little bit better, and that I feel I can go out back home being a lot more confident. I can be a better father, a better husband, a better brother, and a better son, you know, because I've had that time to slow down and access nature on a deeper level.
Brilliant. Okay. We'll talk more in a second. We're talking to James today from fancyawalkmate and how mental health affects people and the great outdoors, how it can heal. We'll talk more in a second after the KLF. That's the memory from KLF, Justified and Ancient, with Tammy Wynette on Tameside Radio. Sunday morning, I'm joined by James from Fancy a Walkmate. I do love the title. It really is great.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
You've talked about, obviously, a little bit about you in the past. Now, this is a group you've got for men who maybe need to open up, talk about their problems maybe, who need support. How did it all start, this group, and how many people have you got involved, and the type of people that join you for these walks? And, of course, where do you go?
Yeah, so, I mean, as I've said, as it started, it was born out of my journey of wanting to change and create a space where actually I could be around people that aligned with me, that meant that I could be who I wanted to be, or should I say, who I always was. And create a space that is safe, that is void of judgment, where there is no pressure, there is no expectations. We don't need our egos. And that's why I chose the name Fancy a Walkmate. There's a meaning behind that word mate. You know, I think for me in the past, and as I've said it previously, you know, I'll only talk about my lived experiences and my views. I would meet people down the pub, or I'd meet people in a social situation. We'd talk, we'd exchange names. I'd forget that name straight away, and I'd have to revert to the word mate. You know,
it's true, isn't it?
Yeah,
we all do that.
So I'm not invested in that person. Yeah. I'm not invested in that time and that meaning. So I was like, you know, I want to connect with people where I can align, who I can align with. So, you know, mate is meet people. It's adventure, it's talking, and then it's evolving, you know. So that's the reason, you know, I wanted to bring in the word mate. I wanted to give it some meaning, some purpose, so that people came to the group and felt valued, felt like they had a real, true, good set of honest mates, you know, because, as I've said, you know, the mates that I have outside of the group, a lot of them, I can't open up, I can't share how I feel, you know, whereas in the group I can do, because I know they're going to listen. And as I said at the beginning, we don't give advice because, you know, everybody's different. Everyone's on their own journey. And, you know, my advice to someone else could be detrimental to them. So I'm there to listen. I'm there to provide my experiences, my wisdom that I've learned through my journey, and hope that they take something from that. So, yeah, that was the reason why we call it the group Fancy a Walkmate. And it's beautiful to see the men that come. So there's a lot of resistance at the beginning, and I'm hoping that by talking with you now on the radio, that there's guys out there that will listen to me and go, you know what, I'm going to give it a go, I'm going to turn up. I'm not feeling great at the moment, and this might be something that will help me. So, like I said, there's a lot of resistance I find from a lot of men. So numbers can generally range from, there might only be 2 men. On the first ever walk we did, there was 1 man, and that was amazing, because I've always sort of said that if I could help one person, 1 man, then I think I've achieved
absolutely
what I've set out to do. So yeah, we get between maybe 2 to 3. I think the most we've had is about 25. This isn't a numbers game. I'm not there to go, look how many people we've got, because that would be my ego. I'm just here to open up a space for any man out there that wants to join us, to come and be our mate, to come and join us, basically.
And I guess there's nothing off topic. You know, you're free to talk about your life experience, what you're going through.
Yeah.
There's no agenda.
There's definitely no agenda, and you know, it isn't all about coming along and opening up, because that would be placing an expectation or pressure on the guys. I'm not there to do that. You know, if you want to come along and just adventure, go to a location that you've never been before, you might be feeling a little bit uncertain of how to find it, then you can join the group that way, or you can join and come and open up. It's totally up to you, but there's no agenda, there's no pressure, no expectation. You know, all I'll do is just create a welcoming feeling for you, so that you know that this space is free of judgment, where if you want to open up about, it could be your relationship at the moment, it could be about sex, it could be about money, it could be about comparative thinking, you know, it could be it's anything. There is a space there that is welcoming of anything you want.
And sometimes when we talk about certain subjects, it's not easy to talk to somebody you know, is it?
Definitely not, no. And that's, again, where, you know, I'm there to show the men that I'm talking about it, because I've gone on a journey and I'm still on a journey. You know, I'm continually learning and growing every day. I have the same ebbs and flows in my mental health as any other man out there. But if I can just show somebody that it's okay to talk about topics that might be a little off cuff, then they might go, well, if he's doing it, then I might try it.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's making that first step to say, right, okay, I've gone through this, I want to talk about it. We don't talk about it in the pub, we don't talk about it having a meal or whatever. It's something we talk about elsewhere, and it's great that you've got this group together and you can bring people along and talk about stuff openly with no judgment. And that's the key thing, isn't it? You don't want people thinking, whatever reason. Yeah, it's totally confidential as well.
Totally confidential, yeah. Obviously, if there was a major safeguarding or issue there, the right people would be spoken to. But you know, it's confidential. It's about building friendships. It's about amazing adventures out in nature. It's about connecting to who you truly are, and it's about understanding that you are a good person. You know, believe in yourself. Go away feeling lifted, feeling higher, feeling like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I can do this. Take action.
This is really good. It really is. We'll find out more in a second. We're talking to James today from Fancy a Walkmate. If you're interested, we've got more details on the way after Cliff. Holding each other. Great voice. Cliff Richard, or Sir Cliff Richard as he's known now, and some people from Tameside Radio on this Sunday morning. We're talking to James Day live in the studio, talking about Fancy a Walkmate, which I do love the title of. So if people are listening and think this does sound like something I want to get involved with, I'm guessing you meet somewhere. It's not a case of turning up saying, "Hi, I'm Mark, I've got these problems, blah blah blah," in front of everybody else.
No, definitely not. No, that would be very much like other organisations out there, and we're not that. You know, this is a safe space where men can get together and have a great time out in nature.
And they don't feel pressurised either.
That's the key, Mark. You know, there's no pressure, there's no expectation. So, you know, yes, we will meet in the morning at a car park somewhere in the Peak District at about 8 o'clock. And
with decent footwear, of course.
Of course, yeah. Of course, the first thing you'll be greeted with is a hug by me. And a lot of guys, that can be a little bit, whoa, hang on a minute, there's another guy that I never met giving a hug. But that, to me, is a kind of icebreaker. It breaks down the barriers, you know, and it goes, you know what, I'm here to help you. I'm here to listen to what's going on. So, yeah, we'll generally meet about 8. We'll spend the first hour just having general chit-chat, let the guys mingle, meet each other, you know, hugs and stuff like that. And then I will sort of start off by giving a little bit of a lived experience speech. I think that's the kind of way that I go, because, as I say, you know, I'm not a therapist or a doctor, but I can give you some examples of my life and the things that have happened to me and what I've done to make them better. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Reaffirm that message that, guys, there's no judgment here, there's no expectation or pressure.
I think that's the most important thing, isn't it? Because if you want some support or want to make friends with new people and you know, like you've got, the last thing they want to do is just turn up somewhere and open up.
Yeah, and there's no expectation to do that. You know, the words will be, you know, I invite you, should you want to talk about whatever's going on. Not in that moment, in that meeting at the beginning, but as we walk. And what I think's beautiful is that I've witnessed it so many times that when we set off and we go into nature, I'll sort of sit back and I'll observe what's going on, and I'll hear the conversations. You know, people that have never met are talking about this, and this. And I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is brilliant. There's growth happening right here. Yes, those guys might not get the answer that they are wanting, but they'll at least be able to offload, express, and another man will listen to it and they won't be judging them. That's the key.
That is such a powerful thing in itself, and that could help that person on their journey.
Yes.
Massively.
I think so, yeah, because there's a lot of wisdom out there to share, you know, and some of the wisdom that I share with the men, again, before we set off, is I read a little paragraph from a book. It's called As a Man Thinketh, and it's a book that's really helped me. It's a small book. I think you can get it off Amazon for about £7, and it's a great little self-help book for men that you can keep by your bed at night. You know, you might be able to read a paragraph before you go to bed or in the morning when you wake up. And this is one of the things that I'll talk to the guys about is, you know, there's a lot of material out there that will help you, a lot of learning to be had that's free. You know, sometimes it just takes a little bit of action to do it. So I'm going to read you a little paragraph, if you don't mind, that links into the group. So it goes, man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then an abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. So feeding your mind with healthy, positive thoughts, weed out them, cultivate your mind, think positive. You know, you can manifest a lot from your mind, and we do speak a lot about that.
Not everybody can do that straight away. Not everybody can just like turn the mind off all the problems, all the issues that are going on, but it can help by talking to other people in a place that you're away from everything. You're away from the problems, up in the Peak District, wherever you go. I bet you see some nice scenery though, don't you? Oh,
incredible. The Peak District's a beautiful place. You've got the White Peak, the Dark Peak. We've got around the High Peak. You know, there's so many beautiful places to go and see. You know, we spend a lot of time around the gritstone outcrops of Stanage Edge, Kerber Edge, Frogger Edge, and those places are incredible. The wild, the raw, the energy there is amazing, you know, and when you open yourself up to being out in nature on that level, when you can connect to the trees, you can connect to the wind, the rain, the sun. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy because I would have thought that 4 or 5 years ago if I heard somebody on the radio saying that. But when you open yourself up to it and realise that there's so much beauty around there to be had, then it's an amazing experience.
Wow. We're talking to James today from Fancy Walkmate. If you do fancy this, literally going for a walk with him and some of the other people as well, we'll have full details coming up soon.
Ashton, Staley,
and yes, from Tameside Radio on this Sunday morning. We're talking to James from Fancy Walkmate, and we've heard about the group, we've heard about what you do, how you can support people. But, I mean, in terms of the walks you do, how many, is it monthly, weekly at the moment? Where are you up to with it all?
So the walks are every month, and the details of each walk will be posted to Instagram and Facebook. And you can search that just by typing in Fancy Walkmate. So on there you'll have all the details of where we're meeting, what time, what to wear, I was going to say expect, but there is no expectations.
I was going to say, when you go on these walks, you've no idea, because anybody could just talk about anything, couldn't they, really?
Exactly, yeah. But what I find really interesting is that the people that come to the group are all aligned. There's never been any difficulties or awkwardness. I've certainly not felt it. And I think that's testament to the group and the men that are in the group. You know, there's some amazing men that are regularly turning up and showing up for themselves and for each other.
When you say men, are we talking in terms of age from 18 upwards? What kind of men are with you on these walks?
The age is nothing but a number, so everybody's welcome. I think the youngest we've had is probably about 19, maybe up to 60, mid-60s. But, you know, this group is open to anybody. So if there's any man out there that is thinking, is this for me? Can I turn up? Then yes, you can turn up. Please drop me a message either on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll come back to you. I'll reassure you. I'll make you feel comfortable. And it's there for everybody, really.
Do you charge for these walks?
No. I mean, nature's accessible to all. So how can I charge for something that is available to everybody? No, there's definitely no charge, and there never will be, because that's not the intention. Not only is this group for the men out there, but it's also for me as well. I use it to grow, to become better by being around these men. So it helps me, and I'm quite passionate about further developing, further learning. And I think the important message is that we never stop learning, we never stop growing. Once you make that decision and that choice to take action to become a better version of yourself, then that never stops.
I guess you can make some really good friends on these walks.
Yeah, amazing. I've got some real beautiful mates out there. Everybody who turns up is my mate, because that's the idea of the group. But yes, there are some regular guys that turn up, and we've formed some really close, special friendships and bonds. And for those guys, if you're listening, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for you all, and I hope you're doing okay.
If someone's listening now thinking, yeah, I fancy coming to the next one, have you got one planned?
Yes, the next one is the 7th of December. I've only just sorted the location out this morning. So what will happen next is I will post on the Instagram page, on the Facebook page, and also a private Facebook page. And I think that's quite important to mention, is that there's a private group for men only on Facebook. Mm-hmm. I think at the moment there's about 1,000 guys on there, which again, if any of those are listening, thank you so much for that. And that group is there just for anybody to message or share wisdom, share knowledge, and share what they're doing to try and help other people. So I'll post it on Instagram and Facebook, and there'll be a link on there for Eventbrite. And if you can just register your place on Eventbrite, that would be amazing.
Sounds really, really good, this. In terms of where the future is for you and the group, I mean, you've been doing this for a while now, and it's obviously proving very successful and supporting a lot of people as well. What does the future hold for you? How big do you want to get this?
I think that's a really good question. The future for the group is that it continues to do what it's doing by offering a safe space in nature for men to meet, adventure, talk and evolve. As I said, it has never been about numbers, but I would love to be able to expand the group further. I'd love to go down the route of opening up as a charity to further offer more help and support for men particularly. Maybe take the group into industry. So I work in construction, which for some can be seen as quite a volatile, toxic environment, and I'm sure there's other industries that are the same. So I'd love to be able to take it into there to sort of open up and show that to men that nature is available. Groups like this are available to get together with people so you can be who you truly want to be without judgment.
Maybe someone's listening to this now thinking, it's not for me, but I do know somebody who maybe this could benefit. What's your Facebook and Instagram pages? Yeah,
if people just search Fancy a Walkmate, you should be able to locate us on that, and you can send us a direct message. I'd like to hopefully be able to reply with a voice note, because I think if people can hear my voice from the first message, then that again sort of offers a little bit of
isn't it? A lot more personal.
More personal, yeah. It shows that I'm invested. Yeah. I think that's really important, that people know that that there's somebody there that is listening, that there is somebody there that is being authentic, being true, being honest. That's what it's all about, sort of operating through life with a good moral compass, and understanding that whatever difficulties that you are going through, there can really only be strength that comes from that. And I think Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, says difficulty strengthens the mind as labour does the body. So if there are people out there that are struggling, please try to see that, from our difficulties there can be strength.
You're doing an amazing job, James. Thank you so much for joining us today on Tameside Radio. Good luck with Fancy Walkmate for the future. I hope the group gets stronger and stronger. If anyone is listening, get involved with Fancy Walkmate. All the details are on Facebook, and we'll have a link on that on our Facebook page in the next few days with a replay of this as well. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.